Well, I'm in western Nebraska. Lovely, right? There's a few things I wanted to point out today. Um, One of them is that many of Natalie and Alicia Bollinger's friends threatened to kill me. Some of them even assaulted me, and that was before Natalie was killed. A lot of the nut jobs that decided I was the guy that they wanted to pick on have sent me pictures of their knives and their guns and things of that nature. Then there's the fact that most of my predators have guns. Ted Bollinger, after being released from prison, after his daughter was killed, he was busted with methamphetamines and a firearm. And there's people like Tim Beeson wanting to send me pictures of their knives, like that's going to intimidate me. And then there's, well, all of the police that I got to deal with have firearms, now don't they? And then there's people who threaten to kill me who have firearms. I know for a fact that Sandy Fromm from Lodgepole has firearms. And that's not supposed to freak me out. And then there's people like Robert Warnick who are not allowed to have firearms, but he threatens to shoot me anyway. He threatened to kill me twice before he assaulted me. And the man is also a registered sex offender. So, yeah, that's definitely something that should be on a fucking watch list. Another thing I got to talk about, though, is how males are treated, especially if they're homeless, especially if they're disabled. Now, we got these list things that people always put up on Facebook, right? You've seen them. What a real man is, what a real man is, what a good man is. Of course, you look at the good man versus the real man list. By the way, that's the air raid siren. It goes off every day at noon. Now we look at those lists of what a real man is supposed to be, according to Facebook. Or somebody who wanted to post up something on Facebook, rather. We look at the two lists of what a real man is and what a good man is, and they don't often line up, do they? No, they don't. Plus, everybody's got their own idea of what a guy should be, what a guy should be, what a guy should be, what a real man is. Now, I've seen some of these posted up about women too, and they get a completely different response. You're misogynistic, you're sexist. Whoa, hold on a second. You don't seem to be much of a complainer when it's not your group being picked out, is it? It's not as big a major deal when it's happening to men, is it? We got to break all of these social bonds and all of these social expectations for women. But then we are expected to, well, follow the same crap that we have to. See, we're taught that men don't really actually matter at all. A man's opinion doesn't matter, not unless he's got money. If a crime happens to a man, well, it's assumed that he probably deserves it or he should be able to take care of it himself. Women get a lot of help compared to men. There are hundreds of services in the United States for women, for every one that there is for a man. How screwed up is that? Now, that all depends on where you're at. Some places, like Boulder, Colorado, have 14 women's services for every co-ed service. That means there are more services just for women than there is for human beings, regardless of gender. Now, why is it that men are expected to live up to antiquated expectations, but we're supposed to be all New World Order about what women want? And then you just can't find two women who can agree on it, just like you can't find any two men who agree on it. Meanwhile, the real victims end up taking it worse than anybody else because everybody else wants to pretend that they're the most victimized. Out of the adults in this country, the top 3 on the list for being victimized are the homeless, the disabled, and of course in the number 1 spot, former foster kids. That's right, if you grew up in the system, chances are pretty good that you are just going to be recycled through the system until the day you die. Now, there is hope. Truly. There's a lot of women's services. A lot of services specifically for getting women into college, or women into this and women into that. Costs a lot of extra money and a lot of extra time to try to jump through all those hoops. It ends up being more expensive than it would be just to let everybody have free college. But we do it this way because, well, we're in love with capitalism. Lovely. And I have to worry about the Bollinger family, people like Ted Bollinger, who has a history of abuse, a history of violence, and a very long one, might I add, towards his own family. And the man, obviously, despite his felonies, still has access to firearms. And a lot of people say, well, you know, Sean, you wouldn't have to worry about this if we made all firearms illegal. Well, there's something to be said about that. Law enforcement would still have those firearms. And we've seen how the police tend to shoot people who don't have firearms. We've gotten to see how an unarmed populace is easy to victimize. Who are the first people that we take guns away from, or the right to own guns? Well, for starters, the homeless. It's difficult to own a gun when you're homeless because you have to have it registered. If you get busted with a firearm, well, you could go away for a lot of years. But then again, that depends on who you are. If you're a homeless person, that's true. If you're Ted Bollinger, they release you. So you can go on a bender with 18 grams of methamphetamines with your daughter on a high-speed chase through Kansas and Oklahoma on October 19th of 2019. Sorry, October 18th of 2019. It was my birthday. The man is a drug addict. So is the daughter that he had with him, Alicia Bollinger, Natalie's twin sister. Ted Bollinger has repeatedly stated that he's going to do horrible things to Joey Moreno. Now, who's Joey Moreno? Well, this is the boyfriend that Joseph Michael Lopez was talking about. Natalie's boyfriend, who Natalie wanted to be shot in the head over. It was his gun that was used to shoot her in the head. Now I got to deal with a bunch of crooked law enforcement pretending like I would hurt someone. They have repeatedly hurt me. But nobody seems to understand that because I am called mentally ill, I have zero rights. Now I've got plenty of rights on paper, but who's going to observe them? If these guys can just turn off their body cameras at will, or lock me up to prevent me from going to court against people who threatened my life repeatedly and assaulted me and molested children, like Robert Warnick. He's a registered sex offender who threatened my life on multiple occasions and assaulted me, chased me down to do so. On all of these occasions with Robert Warnick, it wasn't me going to talk to him, it was him coming to talk to me. Him chasing me down in the middle of the road more than once. Him walking into Pumpkin Pantry while I'm sitting at a table in there eating breakfast. And then he gets to pretend like I'm the stalker. How creepy is that? Same situation with Natalie. She didn't want to believe that her telling a little white lie to keep her and her sister out of trouble a little bit. She didn't figure that that would turn into all this. When I was letting her know about all the people who were giving me hell, she didn't believe me. Well, I got the evidence of it now, don't I? I got the evidence of her ex-boyfriend, Tim Beeson, and all of his bullshit before Natalie was killed. And he wasn't the only one. See, through most of this, it was Matty Boa's customers. Matty Boa was a meth dealer down there in Boulder. When I first met her, she was, she had got beaten up by her dad because she was a lesbian and he didn't like it. That's how I met Matty Boa. She actually planned the trip to Virginia with me, and then she couldn't go because she got busted with meth. It's a good thing I stayed away from meth, isn't it? A good thing I stayed away from cocaine and heroin. Otherwise, I would not have been able to go on that trip. I don't know if Natalie would have actually killed herself if I didn't go to Virginia. But I know that she threatened to. And I know that she had already tried it. And I didn't want to risk her killing herself. I went because she asked. And then when I do what I'm asked, I'm treated like I am a creeper for it. I did somebody a favor and got treated like trash for it. And now I have to deal with people who shouldn't even be allowed to touch guns, threatening to kill me. I've got to worry about predators who have shown repeatedly they don't care about gun laws. People like Robert Warnick, people like Ted Bollinger, and a whole lot more. And people keep telling me, hey, Sean, you know, if we made all these or those gun laws, we'd be able to stop all of this. No, you wouldn't. Ted Bollinger is a criminal. He doesn't care about the laws. It was already illegal for him to own a firearm. It was already illegal, and he still did it. It's already illegal for Robert Warnick to own a firearm, but he still threatened to shoot me with one. Then there's a lot of these internet nut jobbies who wanted to send me pictures of their guns. All the people on the internet who wanted to threaten to shoot me. And a lot of you were like, well, you know, you just got to get away from the internet. No. No, I don't. It's the only place I have to speak where it's actually going to be recorded. Where people will actually have access to it. See, here's the thing that people don't think about when they tell me stuff like just get off the internet. They don't think about people in real life that I have to deal with, like Sandy Fromm, who has firearms, or Tim Beeson, or Robert Warnick, or Leslie Snell. Leslie Snell has access to firearms, and she could shoot me at any point she wants and make any excuse she wants. Meanwhile, she was the predator, not me. I am her victim, not the other way around. I am Robert Warnick's victim, not the other way around. But I was not allowed to go to those court dates, was I? No. I was locked up on trumped up charges. They just had to keep me locked up long enough that I couldn't take it back to court. They had to keep me locked up long enough that Leslie could win a court date because I was not allowed to go. And that Robert Warnick could not be testified against or have any evidence shown against him because I was prevented, first of all, from fixing the phone that evidence is on. And also, I was prevented from going to court. I wasn't even notified of when the court date was supposed to be. But meanwhile, did I chase Robert Warnick 3 blocks in a vehicle and assault him and break his things? No, I didn't. Did I threaten to shoot Robert Warnick? No, I didn't. Did I threaten to assault him? No, I didn't. Did I follow him to Pump and Pantry? No, I didn't. Did I yell him down in the middle of the street? No, I didn't. These are all things that he did. Now, how am I supposed to go to the cops? See, here's the thing, is that I was trying to turn in these cops. Have been for, well, since 2018. But they all work together. They're all on the same side. A lot of people said to me, hey, Sean, what can I do? What can I do? And I tell them, hey, you can look at evidence and speak up for me. But they can't find the time. A lot of them, like Natalie and Alicia and Maddie, still got plenty of time to get screwed up on drugs and drunk. So I've been victimized for a lot of years over a bunch of addicts who I did right by. Dealing with all this sexism, being told that it's my fault because I have a penis, or being told that it's my fault because I'm white. That's just insane. Of the 5 top spots for being victimized in the United States, I am in 4 of them. Foster kids are at the very top of the list. I am no longer a foster kid. Now, when you consider that there are more hate crimes against the homeless than all other hate crimes combined times 5, it really gives you an idea of what we're going up against. About how easy it is to destroy somebody's life. Just make them homeless. I was basically homeless when Natalie was killed, but I had a place that I was renting. I was renting a garage from Ken Wilson and Leah Plunkett. They took advantage of me, which is illegal. All these things that were done to me are illegal, to do to a disabled person. See, a lot of y'all don't seem to get this whole mentally ill thing. It's a disability thing. But by using a different terminology, it's okay. Somehow magically you can justify doing those things to them. Kind of like the difference between calling somebody a pastor and calling them a Nazi. If you say he's a pastor, people are like, oh man, you can't do that to a pastor. That's a man of God. That's a man of God. But if you call that pastor a Nazi, yeah, people will throw up their fists and say, yeah, get him, get him, get him. There'll be all sorts of for lynching. People don't want proof. They want someone they can take it out on. They want someone to blame. The problem is they take it out on whoever's the easiest to get away with doing it to. And that's where these lists come in. Who is the most vulnerable? Folks like to victimize others when they can get away with it, or when they think they can get away with it. And depending on which group you pick, you probably can. If you find somebody who's homeless, you can go beat them up and they'll go to jail just because they're homeless. You find somebody you can call mentally ill, you can rape that person and get away with it by calling them mentally ill. How fucked up is that? I guess that's my rant for now. A lot of the people that I spoke out about were later on the news, and people wanted to speak out about them then, yet still forget about me. You can look up Waylon Lolotai's name, and you'll see a lot about him. Waylon Lolotai. Look up Mike Boudet, Mikeboudet. Look up Clearview Behavioral Health, Clearview Behavioral Health. You'll get to see the people and places that I told on. Well, they have a reputation for doing the things that I told you they were doing to begin with. I was very loud and very public about what they did to me. And because of the situation with Natalie and because people wanted me to be the scapegoat, my predators got away. And they did it to others. And that's the moral of the story here. What's to stop Robert Warnick from killing an innocent person? How about Ted Bollinger? How about Sheriff Scott DaCosta? How about Officer Waylon Lolotai? What is to stop them? What's to stop Ted Bollinger from doing so? And at this point, I have to consider his daughter Alicia a predator too. Because she's a pretty female, she gets away. She should have been locked up with her father on October 18th of 2019 when she was fucking around with her dad and methamphetamines on a high-speed chase through multiple states. The number of people who assaulted me over her lies, the number of people who have threatened to kill me or my loved ones, the number of people who have sent me pictures of their guns. It's okay for her to have no morality whatsoever because she's pretty. God, that really shows how screwed up the country is.